Chapter 8. As there was abundance of game in the country, it naturally follows that there were many predatory animals. There was usually a good market for the skins of coyotes and bobcats, besides the bounty of $2.50 per head. If Edson could learn to trap, that would be another source of income. That fall he put in a few weeks with an old trapper. We bought him a couple of dozen of No. 3 steel traps, and he very proudly and confidently set them all out. A few days later he came running in, all big-eyed and excited, to tell me he had caught a coyote in one of his traps. Would I come quick and help him skin it? He would kill it immediately, and we would skin it while it was still warm. The only knife we had was a dull butcher knife. I never owned any other kind. Daddy had gone to town that morning with the only pocket knife we had in his pocket. Then I went with Edson to skin the coyote. He killed it with a club while I turned my back and cried. Then we started on our first skinning job. First we cut it up the belly, which was not the correct way. I would cut and skin for a while, making too many slices in the hide. Then Edson, thinking he could do better than I, would take the knife and try his hand. All the time, one of us was pulling as hard as possible on the hide. We made an awful mess of it. Finally, after 3 hours of hard work, we got the hide off. It was full of holes. There wasn't a 6-inch square on the whole skin that wasn't cut. It might have been worth a few dollars when we started, but it wasn't worth 10 cents when we finished. We had learned something, however. We had learned we didn't know how to skin coyotes. Edson went back to the trapper to learn that skill, and it was the skill of skinning in which Edson became very efficient. He learned to skin one in 3 minutes, and often used to laugh at the 3 hours it had taken us on our first try. He became very good at trapping, and the income from his hides was our greatest help in the early homestead days. That first year he sold $150 worth of raw skins. We finished getting our wood down in November, and then we had to turn our attention to the school. We'd been wondering where we could get the money to buy the lumber needed for the schoolroom. Then a wonderful windfall came our way. A wealthy sheepman below us gave us a miner's cabin that had been on his property so we could tear it down and use the lumber to build our schoolroom. It was slow work, as this cabin was 5 miles away. After it was all hauled, we had the building to do. We added extra room on the north end of our cabin. Daddy had to do most of the work. I wasn't much of a carpenter. The only nails I ever hit with any accuracy were fingernails. He worked slowly along. It soon had to stop to celebrate our first Thanksgiving. We had raised all 8 of my little turkeys. When they were 3 months old, one of them had gotten sick. It drooped around for days. I'd given it grains of black pepper and all the home remedies I'd ever heard of, but it looked like it was really going to die. I picked it up one day, and there seemed to be a rock in its craw the size of a walnut. I thought, well, the darn thing's going to die anyway. I'm going to open its craw and see what it is. I plucked out few breast feathers, got Daddy's razor, and cut the outside skin of the craw, and then cut open the craw proper. There was a hard lump, all right, hard as a rock. It looked like grass matted down into a solid substance. I removed it. Then, with sterilized needle and white silk, I sewed up the craw and the outside skin. Then I banded the turkey's leg for future reference. The turkey got well. Now it was Thanksgiving time. I wanted to save 2 hens and a tom for next year's stock, which left me 3 to sell and 2 to eat, 1 for Thanksgiving and 1 for Christmas. I took good care to sell the banded turkey, and it was anxious to see what kind of scar the operation had left. Much to my surprise, the skin was smooth. There was no scar. The operation had evidently been a perfect success. Then, the day before Thanksgiving, one of our remaining turkeys died. We had to make a quick decision as to whether to do without turkey for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. We decided to have our turkey dinner on Christmas, for that's what the children wanted. We'd already invited the cowboys and old Gauchy, the foreman of the sheep ranch, for dinner. Gauchy, a French Basque whose real name was Juan Barandigue, was a big, fat fellow with a stomach that hung over the edge of his trousers, which he constantly tried to pull up. He had a kind old face with almost liquid brown eyes. He thought the world of the children, and I never went to town without Gauchy sending along some money with me that I could buy a special treat for them. We had to have something special for dinner, so Daddy went out and killed a number of mountain quail. We feasted on stuffed roasted quail and never missed that turkey. Edson took the dead turkey for coyote bait, wired it to a juniper tree across the flat, and caught 3 coyotes with it. The coyotes ate all the flesh off the bird, but it was years before the ligaments disintegrated and let the bones drop. Now, after half a century has passed, the leg bones of that turkey are still wired to the juniper tree. With Thanksgiving over, we turned back to the building of the schoolroom. We built it 12 by 14 feet. It was to be a schoolroom from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m., and the teacher's private room the rest of the time. We moved in seats and blackboards from the other side of the district. There was a 3-quarter bed and a closet in one corner with the curtain drawn around them for privacy. We installed a small table for the teacher's desk. As Daddy had several bad spells that interrupted our work, it was just a few days before Christmas when we finished our school. Daddy had to go in right after Christmas to find a teacher, so we didn't go in for Christmas supplies. I made new outfits for the 3 little girls' dolls. The baby was too young to know about Christmas, and Daddy took care of Edson's present by giving him his pocket knife. The cowboys came for dinner and brought candies, nuts, and oranges, and we had some shiny red apples stored in the cellar. We had raised popcorn the previous summer, which we popped and strung to decorate the tree. Daddy took all the children with him across the flat to choose a juniper for our Christmas tree. This started a tradition. My children to this day would rather have a juniper than the most beautiful blue fir. They chose one with lots of blueberries hanging from the branches. We had candles and some lovely old candlesticks. When our tree was set up and decorated with bright red apples, oranges, strings of popcorn, bags of candy, and candles, the children thought it was the most beautiful tree they'd ever seen. Daddy got up very early Christmas morning, lit the fire in the stove, lit the candles, and then rang the school bell announcing, "Come kids, old Santy's been here." The cowboys and old Goshi all come over for dinner. We ate our remaining turkey. We had a traditional dinner with turkey, mince pies, and all the trimmings except the cranberry sauce. It was soon January, and winter was upon us. We had a good supply of wood. Our cellar was full of vegetables and canned fruit. I had put up 600 quarts of canned goods from the fruit that our 2 big neighbors' ranches have given us. And dozens of bottles of jelly and jam. I mean bottles, literally. We had no jelly glasses, but we had collected beer bottles from the surrounding countryside, and I had converted them into jelly glasses. I soaked a string in coal oil, tied it around the bottle where I wanted it to break, and then when the string was burned and the bottle doused in a bucket of cold water, it would break evenly where the string was tied. In that way, I always had a supply of jelly glasses. There was an abundance of meat in the hills, for deer were plentiful and apparently tame. They stalked past our cabin as if we weren't even there. We had, besides the $150 in gold that I kept in an old cracked pitcher on the pantry shelf. That cracked pitcher was our bank for a good many years. The gold I had was 100-fold gain over the $1.50 that I had when we had arrived on our place.